And one thing that you mentioned, though, is around the risk tolerance. Perhaps take us through how we should be thinking around the amount of risk.
Of course, the first thing you need to look at when you're talking about the risk tolerance is cash is king. So your cash flow must make sense. And to me, I always say that I'm very conservative. I'm an aggressive investor, but very conservative when it comes to cash flow. So, and COVID has proven it. That's whether the strategy that we're using was good or bad. COVID just proved it. And you need to make sure that whatever that you're doing, again, like we go back to my 80-20 principle, right? Where I say whatever that you're doing, it doesn't matter how much the property is, you need to look at only getting 80% of that deal from your side, because no matter how bad the market is going to be, you already have an 80% buffer. And that's what we do with Big Grand at PropertyAskEkow, the student that we teach. That is the mentality that we build in. And that's why I always say, investment must be art and science. It must not just be, oh, my gut feeling. Gut feeling doesn't pay bills. The math pay bills. You define that risk tolerance and you stick to it. You don't move. You stay with it like a glue. And that's how it's supposed to be done.
It really is about the rands and cents. And sometimes, unfortunately, a deal just doesn't stack up. You know, you may like the property, it might be in a good area, but when you start running your numbers, it just doesn't give you the kind of yield that you're looking for. Should you bite the bullet and buy that property and perhaps in the next coming months, you'll be able to recover? Or should you rather say, look, it's not stacking up right now, therefore just don't buy it? How should we be thinking about it?
The first thing is history. Is always the basic point of any business strategy. COVID has now been part of us and it's a history now. Like now COVID is telling you that people are adjusting their prices, right? We as Big Grand, we've also adjusted our prices and we're still breathing fine because we were conservative in our approach. So anybody that's going to buy a property for investment now, my advice is approach that investment from a thinking place and not a heart place. Don't buy purely because you admire the property. Buy purely because it is going to make you money. At the end of the day, that's part of the reasons why you invest in.
How should we be looking at the different ways of either managing debt juxtaposed with buying a property?
Okay, so the way you manage debt is basically you look at the chunk of it because you've got different types of debt, right? For starters, when I look at my debt, I normally always want to pay the one with the highest interest rate first. That's what I do. Because if I can kill that one, then my affordability will be higher. So that's where I look at. That's how I normally start. So once you've figured out, or someone will say, I have a friend who normally says, okay, I don't go with the interest rates one, but I go with the one that takes majority of my income. So he sits down and says, if I want to buy a property for $1 million and I need 10,000 Rand a month, that's extra free cash flow income statement, then what do I do? So he looks into all the debts that he has, that's obligations that he has, and says, okay, I'm paying 5,000 on this. So if I can reduce this 5,000 to say 1,000 Rand, then I've got excess cash because he's done his cash flow analysis and he knows if that money is out, irrespective of whatever the interest rate might be, to him, he's saying, I'm paying 2,000, even if it's a 25% interest rate, and I'm paying 10,000, this is a 10% interest rate. But if I pay this 10,000 off my books, it will enable me to get access to $1 million Rand. That's how he looks at it. Mine is completely different. I look at the interest rate approach, and both method makes sense. So I would say people, based on your risk tolerance and based on your own lifestyle, personal lifestyle, you can adapt any of these two strategies and they both work very fine.
Ekow, before I let you go, any final tips for viewers at home, especially as we, get ready for 2021, get ready for setting some of our 2021 goals?
As an investor, your first principle is who is going to pay for me. And if that person is going to pay and you're going to put more than what you need in that deal, walk away from that deal. That is my advice. Walk away from that deal.
Well, that's a great place to leave it there. Thank you so much, Eko, for joining us this evening.
It's a pleasure, Zama.